Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, today we have the non-farms payroll. Only got like 2 minutes, so I'm going to be really quick here. 10-year Treasury, pretty much where they were. S&P going, little jump in oil, gold, silver. Silver looking great again. Copper up on highs. Japanese yen just kind of going sideways. Dollar around 96.39, and Bitcoin extending on its move from yesterday and pushing just a tad bit higher. Good morning, Ray. So, for non-farms payroll, we are looking for a U.S. non-farm payrolls reading of 106K versus a previous reading of 139K, and I think that there is a good possibility that we may get a lower than expected payrolls number, something around, let's say 50K, could be alarming to the markets and cause treasuries to rally. The treasuries have kind of wanted to rally. They were doing so yesterday off of the ADP report, but the market kind of moved past it. If the non-farms is bad, they will not look past it. They will sell. So that would be, you know, the sign that they're likely to cut in September. Like right now they're saying 70% chance. That would be the thing that like locks it in. They're for sure doing it in September. And you might even start to see them price in July. And in fact, I wouldn't even be surprised to see them start to price in if it's bad enough. Like if it was negative, maybe even price in a 50 basis point cut. So that's where we're at. Good morning, Uzi. So if it is bad, I might try taking a shot. You can see though that the liquidity is not there. Okay, here we go. Okay, well, we are down, so that must mean it's good. Yep, 147K. Oh, I have the speakers on here. I gotta fix that. Well, the market really likes that. The stock market really likes that, and the treasuries do not. It's actually, you know, over here in the micros, they're giving you an okay shot at it. Except for that, you know what? I am really not interested in picking up positions at 111. Oh, hey, cool. So you can buy or sell it at the same price that you could buy or sell it at for the last 2 weeks. Woohoo. Now let's see here. What about the headline rate? Oh, interesting. U.S. unemployment rate. We were expecting 4.3. The previous reading was 4.2, and we got 4.1. So they were expecting the unemployment to tick up a little bit, and it ticked down a little bit. We're also getting initial jobless claims slightly lower than expected, 233 versus the expected 240. What about average earnings month over month? That looks okay. Spot 2 versus spot 3. Continued claims 1.964 versus 1.962. Okay, so I am going to, I had things armed. I'm going to disarm. I'm going to disarm the dumb here because I really don't think that I can take a good shot at 111. We are getting some pretty significant backwash here though, aren't we? a lot traded on that. Holy cow. That was a much higher than normal amount of volume off of a non-farms. And I would also say a higher than normal jump in equities. And my news squawk is saying that people are cutting their bets for a July cut, which I think makes sense. I still believe that we will cut in September. So here's the thing. It doesn't have to be like we're about to go in a recession in order to cut rates. We are seeing portions of the market really struggling because of interest rates being high. So I think that the circumstances and everything, if inflation looks okay, that they're still likely to cut. But in July, I don't know. And something we should keep in mind, and I 100% fall for this bias, this kind of issue, is that we always think that the next change in interest rates is coming sooner than it actually does. So it may be one of those things where it just keeps getting pushed back and pushed back, right? Okay, well, that was a little bit further of a swing back. Man, when you look it on there, it's like that was a pretty big dip. You know what's crazy to me is, like, when I started trading, it was not unusual for the treasuries, the 10-year treasury, to go a whole handle. It was not unusual at all. And now that just seems like so crazy. Like that would be an absolutely bonkers move. So let's clear the current trades column on the way up on all of these. That will help us see how far back we're coming. Cost basis is all the way up at 16.5. That's probably going to continue to adjust here. I'm not necessarily seeing, well, I don't know. I mean, it's 60K right there. I mean, that was some good absorption and everything. The ECB president saying that they are ready for a deal on tariffs. Okay. If you say so. Okay. So I've had something on my mind. We kind of talked about yesterday. I figure now is as good a time to start yapping about it as any. Well, everybody's kind of watching their positions and doing things. I wonder, did anybody end up buying that backwash? It'd be a pretty gutsy trade. Although, I think, 111, we were able to identify that pretty early as a place that I don't think you necessarily want to go short there. Although I would have expected it to stay closer to that 111 than it has. So, but anyways, so yesterday, when Microsoft announced another like 6,000 layoffs. And they're already on like their third round. It's crazy. How many people does Microsoft employ? That's because those numbers are just so bonkers to me. Like, that is more than a lot of companies. That's like a whole company getting laid off. Like a small business, like a relatively mid-sized local business, right? That's like a whole local business being laid off. And that's crazy. Where are they cutting all of the people from? They have too many projects going. Like, are they cutting people off from the Windows team? Because I kind of feel like it's time for a new Windows, and I'm not too happy with the way the Windows has been going lately. Microsoft. Layoffs. And that's been the thing in the market is company announces layoffs, stock price goes up. Hey, they're cutting costs. That means more money for us investors. I want to be invested in this company. It tends to create short-term flows to the upside, even though all of the research that we have on these things suggests that layoffs have extremely negative effects on the long-term health of the company. It discourages the workforce. It disrupts teams and processes that they have going on, and is just generally not worth all of the damage that it causes. But they do it anyways because the shareholders make money in the short term. And then on top of that, there is the whole specter of artificial intelligence. Do we not need as many jobs because they have the robots, and the robots are going to do everything for us? And it seems to me, even though we are not seeing evidence of that, which is to say, I do not see people at work twiddling their thumbs because the robot wrote everything, and now they don't have to do anything because all of the work is done. I don't see that at all. I see people working harder than ever before. That AI is just creating more work from them. Like, they're producing more work creates more work. Especially with Microsoft becoming well known for being lying spies now. Well, I haven't been following that too much, so. So here's the thing, though. I think that a day will come. Hold on a second. I think that the day will come soon where this will flip on its head. So hear me out for a second. The question is, how does the thing scale? So let's talk about a couple of different things and how they scale. Okay? Let's say that I have this computation that I need to make. Really huge, complicated computation. And I go and I offload that computation to my NVIDIA GPU, and it completes that operation within a week. Okay, cool. Now I want it to go faster. So I add a second GPU, and I can do that computation twice as fast. Doesn't always work that way, but in some instances, you have a calculation that is really, really scalable, horizontally scalable. You get the calculation done twice as quickly. So you can run it for a few days and get the computation and then you're done. Or you do twice as many computations now, right? That's the way that it works with AI. Is it's like, okay, well, now I have twice as many GPUs. I'm going to make twice as big of an AI. That's what they do. And that's why NVIDIA is making so much money. It's people are just buying as many GPUs as possible because, why? Because it scales. It scales. The more power you have, the more sophisticated, more powerful computations you can do. So that is something that scales super, super well, right? Now let's talk about something that maybe doesn't scale as well, right? Like maybe you're a business, like let's say it's my business here and we sell indicators, and we have Seth, and Seth, he promotes his indicators or whatever, makes a certain amount of money from people buying the indicators a month. So does that mean that if we go and we clone Seth 10 times, that we will pull in 10 times as many sales on our indicators? Well, maybe there is this point where there's like enough saturation in the market that people actually, and you actually start getting more coming off of 10 people. But let's just assume that we're already doing a pretty good job at getting our message out there and so forth. Adding 10 or 100 Seths is not necessarily going to bring in 10 or 100 times more sales, because like you're already saturating the market, right? So there's some other bottleneck. There's some other bottleneck in that process. That the limitation is not the number of Seths. The limitation is the number of customers out there, or the difficulty in helping people understand what the power is in the product and why it's useful to them, and so on and so forth, right? That's something that doesn't necessarily scale very well. Okay. So now let's think about, how does software development scale? Because I would think most software developers would tell you that just because you go and you double the size of the team doesn't mean that the team is going to output twice as much software or is going to get software done in half the time. Why? Because there's all these bottlenecks. I have to wait on this guy for this particular critical feature, and that's really a one-person job, and everything else is halted until that thing can get passed. You have so many people pushing stuff through. There's more errors come up. You have to deal with all of the errors. And so there are like real limits to how things scale, right? So there's some things where if you were to draw an XY, and the X is the number of people, right? And the Y is the money that you make from it, right? Okay. With NVIDIA GPUs, it scales like this, right? But a lot of things, they scale like this, right? What we would like to have is something that kind of like actually scales like this. And then maybe, you know, that might be my business, I hope. Okay. So, if I have a business that scales like this, that scales linearly, then I want to scale it up as fast and as big as possible. Basically, I want as many GPUs as I can until I've basically saturated the market. Till the point that now I'm adding more GPUs and I'm not getting more improvements in my AI, for instance, right? That's what I'm going to do. And I want to get there as quickly as possible. Right? Okay. What AI does is it turns things that scale like this into things that scale like this. Things that don't scale very well into things that do scale very well. You're taking all of these inefficiencies and things that can often make it difficult for people to work and to get work done, and you're removing all of those obstacles, and you're making it easy so that people can just output work constantly. All of the barriers are gone. That's what AI does. As long as it doesn't get to the point where the AI replaces us, where it's still, you got developers, but they're being assisted by AI and not just completely replaced by AI, right? Okay, if you get completely replaced by AI, then it's a different issue. But when it's just the human working with an AI, what it does is it makes everything more efficient. And so in that situation, do you come in and say, okay, well, because we've removed all of these barriers and everything is more efficient now, we don't need as many people because we get more work done? Only if your business doesn't scale, right? If you have a business where it's like, I have this product and like that one product is like the only product that I can possibly do in my business, then I'm only going to do the work to sell that one product. And I want to sell that one product as efficiently as possible. That's not a very scalable business, is it? No, I want to have a business where I'm doing so well, I add another product line and another product line, and I'm just getting bigger and bigger until I'm as big as Apple, and then, like, you can't really grow much more, right? Now, if you're an investor, which business do you want to invest in? Do you want to invest in that one that's pretty much saturated? They're like, oh, we've already done everything that we can. Or do you want to invest in the business that has so much growth potential? They just want to they want to keep adding more and more people, make it as big as possible. Obviously, you want to do the latter. And so what's going to happen in the next bull market, in my opinion, if we have a bull market that's really driven by efficiency increases by artificial intelligence, which I think is likely, what's going to happen is coming in and saying, well, we're doing so much with AI, we don't need as many people, and so we're laying people off, is going to be a signal to investors that that business doesn't actually scale very well. That's what it's going to be, because the businesses that are going to be giving you like several X times growth and everything are going to be the ones that they need to hire as many people as they can, because this process scales. And if I get twice as many people on my payroll, I'm going to make twice as much money. You see what I'm saying? AI allows businesses to scale. There are businesses out there that, oh, we could be such a big business, we could be so much more successful, but there's this thing and there's this thing in the way. We got to get past, like, once we fix this issue, and then maybe we can grow the way that we want to. AI is going to remove all of those barriers, and every business is going to be able to scale up to the size that they want. And then the question is going to be, like, the biggest winners are going to be which businesses scale the most. And in those instances, their demand for labor will be insatiable. Is that the right word? I don't know if I'm using the right word. They will not be able to hire enough people. We will get to that point where basically all of the focus will become on the business use cases that scale very well, and those businesses will want so much labor that there won't be enough people for it. That's what's going to happen. And so it will flip. Coming out and laying people off and saying, we're trying to be more efficient, etc., is going to be a big red flag to investors that my business is not scalable. And so companies will avoid doing it. They will do the exact opposite. They will hire people, even if they aren't 100% sure what they're going to do with them, because it will just be a race for who can get, it's like it was a couple of years ago, right? like Google was like hiring people mostly so that those people wouldn't go out and start their own startups and stuff, right? It'll be like that on steroids with AI, I think. And that is how AI, I think, has a very large probability of actually increasing the number of jobs. Because you're going to have all these businesses, like if I take a distribution curve of like the size of businesses, right? It's probably like most businesses are really, really small. And then there's a few, like Apple is way out here, right? Way out on the far right side of the curve. What's going to happen is this distribution is going to smooth out like this. Because so many of these small businesses, the barriers that prevent them from scaling and becoming larger businesses will be completely gone. And so, like, the total size of the businesses increases, and that means that the total market cap of the stock market is going to go up insane, right? And all during this, you're putting so much stuff out, that's going to make things cheaper. That's deflation, folks. Federal Reserve is going to have to cut interest rates. They're going to have to print money. And the stock market is just going to... That's what I think is going to happen. Not going to happen yet. There's, I think, a couple of barriers to that happening yet. First one is we aren't completely understanding like what use cases is this good for. Like it's going to take us a little bit of time to figure out, okay, AI works really well for this, and this business is really scalable, and so we want to put our money into this thing. That's the first one, is kind of figuring out once they realize that this is what's going on, right? And then the other big barrier is interest rates, because all of this will require a lot of investment. Requires a lot of initial investment. Hire the people so that you get that crazy output from them. So interest rates need to come down. But once I think interest rates normalize, and that would be to me like interest rates at 3%, right? Like you tend to get 2% inflation, and then you want to give investors 1% on top of that. So interest rates at like 3%. And then, yeah, I think you could see some crazy stuff. So that is how I think that AI could increase the number of people employed and create an insane demand for labor. Can anyone explain what this is? This is a live stream where Seth just kind of yaps and shows a bunch of numbers on his screen for fun to confuse people. You know, we did have a pretty good backwash and came back pretty good. A lot of volume has gone off at 0.5 half. It seems to be cooling off. I'm not so sure that there's going to be a ton more action here. Of course, it can always surprise me. Sometimes with non-farms payroll, you know, I'll see the move and I'll think, oh yeah, this is really bad for treasuries, and they're just going to sell off. And it's going to be a trend day, or it's going to come down and rebalance at 111. And then it completely retraces the move, and you're like, what? What's going on? And it never makes sense to me. But so far, it's looking like it's not doing that. So far, it looks like that they're finding a spot, and that they're probably going to settle somewhere around this 05. Let's see here. What else? What chart is the upper left? The upper left is the 10-year treasury. I have that chart over there for my algorithm, but I don't have it enabled right now. We could enable it and we could see where it might have taken a trade. Let's do that. I don't think that it would have done anything here, though. It's not supposed to take a trade during the news and then... Okay, so like here's the initial impulse. We have to ignore that. It's looking for an imbalance of 3%. And it never got there, so it wouldn't be taking any trades. We are getting a strong up candle here, though, in the treasuries, so maybe it would. Maybe it'll get triggered here. That would be interesting. Now, here's another thing related to what I was just talking about. So here's somebody saying Microsoft laid off 817 U.S. software engineers in Redmond and then requested 2,300 foreign workers for the same roles in the same location. So they're literally firing Americans and outsourcing the labor to India. Because now they feel that you get software done decently well in India. It used to be you'd outsource it, and like it didn't work very well. I kind of think that the reason why the outsourcing didn't work very well was because you bring in like outside labor, like contractors, and people that don't really have ownership over the thing and don't have control over it, and you'll get wonky results when that happens. So what companies have done instead is they have really big arms in the other country. They're not just outsourcing it to some outside firm. They are building up their company in that country. So that is a force. And that's probably one of the major forces as to why, like, in software development right now is really rough. I don't know what you do about that. Could you have this situation where it's like AI does create this like this insane demand for workers? Where do you get them from? You get them from other countries. It could be. That would be a problem if other countries weren't, you know, like catching up. But if the other countries, they're developing companies that also need tons of labor, then maybe it balances itself out. But I would expect it to take a long time for that to happen. So that might still be a force in the near future. For like the next 5 to 10 years, that's still a problem. It's outsourcing. Unless politicians do something about it, which I don't think they will. But, you know, there's this whole thing like we need to punish companies for that are like outsourcing their manufacturing to other countries and then bringing it in. Is there a point at which you need to do the same thing for services, software? Otherwise, you'll lose all of your labor, or you'll lose all of your jobs. So we did get a little bit of an imbalance to the long side in the treasuries. It's still going, but the robot has not seen enough of an imbalance to get triggered. It's getting close, though. It's getting close. And cost basis is all the way up at 13.5. I'm hoping that maybe I will get some time to work on that this weekend, but we'll see. Actually, if I get some time, probably need to make these videos. I've got like 3 videos I need to make. So there's a poll on the trading subreddit. Were you net profitable from 2020 to 2024? And out of 12 total votes so far, only 2 have said that they lost money. I call bullshit. My oh my, Flash retires from ASL. That's so sad. We all really wanted to see Sulky versus Flash. It's so sad. But apparently his wrist is not what it was. There's a thing on Reddit, somebody doing vibe coding, and they're all like, "Yep, I'm gonna take over everything, and vibe coding is gonna replace regular coding." And then this person went bankrupt because they racked up 4K from an exposed endpoint. Jeez. Elon Musk's Tesla has halted the production of its humanoid robot Optimus amid redesign plans. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I thought it was about to get triggered, but the activity kind of died off there, didn't it? By the way, how are we doing today? Oh, that's interesting. So we're getting not quite as far as we did in viewers yesterday. So maybe it was the clicking the buttons, right? Need to click the one, the love button. Bring in more viewers. So for that, there's nothing to talk about now. I think now it's just kind of like chill for an hour and then have a 3-day weekend. There's an iceberg on the bid. And as soon as I said that, the net imbalance on the bid and offer shifted. Let's see if that iceberg holds. It kind of looks to me like he wants, okay, 40, 45. Interesting. Yeah, there you go. So I'm kind of wondering if that shift in the balance there was kind of like, well, I want to get filled at 07. Okay, now I'm filled. Now I have no reason to be holding it like that. They shifted it back, and of course we tick up. You're already +1 off of that iceberg. That was pretty quick. You usually don't see it play out that quickly. Although it remains to be seen if they're able to get any more out of that. So you can actually kind of see it over here on my chart. So like, do you see this inside oscillator thing? Like the orange is the amount on the offer and the blue is the amount on the bid. So throughout most of this, we've had more bid than offer. But we just came into an area where there's more offer, not very much bid, and bid is absorbing. Bid is iceberging, which kind of suggests luring behavior. That the bid is kind of purposely sandbagging, not showing a lot of liquidity, in the hopes that people hit it. So this is behavior that we see all the time, but I don't think I've ever seen it so clearly in my metrics. It's usually something that you can just kind of feel going on the DOM. Let's just remember it was at 07 that there was that iceberging, so now they're +2. A little bit of iceberging at 08 though, 7K. Okay, wait, what the heck? Has anybody seen this GIF? It's like a robot that's all dressed in street clothes, just kind of running around. That's kind of terrifying, to be honest with you. I'm kind of scared of that. Oh man, it came all the way back. 2 ticks, just like that, huh? Well, you know, off of a signal like that, you can't necessarily take a signal like that and expect it to be, you know, go all the way. That'd be great if it was like the start of a good trend, but you know, these are all very, very short-term kinds of things. That was a pretty strong and quick follow-through off of something like that. So now imagine it holding a sword and charging at you. No, thank you. Yeah, they're going to have to do something to make the robots look less scary. Maybe that means that they just have to be smaller. Make a robot that is, you know, under 5 feet tall. Then people won't be as intimidated by it. I don't know. That might make it worse. Then it would just make people scared of midgets. Oh, this is probably a bad idea. I can't wait to have homeless artificial intelligence robots. If things get to the point where, like, there are robots that are old or whatever and people don't want them, but there's still free charging out there or something like that, and the robot just charges itself, and there's like, oh, that would be so weird. Now, here's this article. Young Americans are spending a whole lot less on video games this year again. I'm spending a lot less on video games because all the video games suck. I don't make good stuff anymore. Okay, there's an uptick still. You know, it's actually a decent amount of business still being done here. I guess you know, it's still pretty early. We've still got, they're still preparing for the S&P 500 to open, huh? Or I should say the NYSE to open. What's this? Diddy Combs found guilty on 2 charges? I thought that he was found not guilty. But maybe that was just one. I see. He was found guilty on 2 charges, but he was innocent on the major charges. Okay. Another big iceberg at 8.5. We never got an imbalance enough to trigger an entry. Actually, maybe over here it should have. Oh. It's not training. It's not trading because of a risk management rule. I wonder what it is. It's a new day. It should be able to do it whatever it wants, right? I'm gonna have to go take a look at that. Actually, I guess I have a little bit of time. We can pull that up. You need to get a 5090. Oh, maybe he's watching the earlier conversation. Is NinjaTrader reliable when creating your own indicator? I find there's something weird with the bars. Sometimes there are some missing and some of the drawings don't render unless I refresh. That is weird. That is unusual. Now, if some bars are not drawing, maybe it's because your indicator is 0 in that situation, or you're just not setting a value in that situation. Now, if you look at mine, like if you look up in the upper left, you'll see that this particular indicator, because it's based on market depth, it only draws from when the indicator has been turned on. So, yeah. I need to make something that's like, when I'm outputting a string, look at what you output last time, last bar. And if it's the same, don't output anything. So that I don't get this thing where it's like every time that it runs through the loop, it outputs that it can't trade. Right? That doesn't make any sense. I think I actually can do that. Let's see here. So that's the method over here, right? Log output. Okay. Private string last message. Let's do that. Private string underscore last log equals. And then in here we can say and output does not equal last log and output. And then where did my little output window go? Clear. Gonna disable this strategy or re-enable the strategy. Okay. Oh. That's interesting. Okay. So it says that today, the 3rd, 6:31 a.m., it's already hit its streak limit, which means that those variables are not getting reset at the beginning of the day. If is first, what is it? I have to search. Ninja Trader, first bar of session. If bars dot is first bar of session. This dot streak limit. No. So let's see here. Trying to find one where I've had the risks rules. I think this one does it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Block by.
This should be protected. Wow. That was a big order that came through. Protected. Trade's direction. Okay, so now I want to change this a little bit. This output function. I want it to be string instead of string output, it's going to be string message, string data. Now this is going to create a ton of compilation errors. So many. Okay, so here's the one that I'm really trying to get rid of. I don't know, it's moving a lot, but it hasn't been able to get away from this like 08-ish area, so this one I'm not sure. I'm gonna leave it. So I didn't even think, do we have 8 o'clock news? Oh, we do. We have ISM services. That's a big number. Okay. Here's that same one. There, I'm not sure. We're getting there. Ta-da. Okay. But it's still giving me the same thing. Daily limit hit, no more trades today. How can it be doing that at the very beginning of the... Oh, I see. Oh, that's so dumb. That's so terrible. Okay, it's because I have never come in to the strategy and said can enter during news. Okay. What's the goal with your stream? I don't know anymore, guys. I mean, I think that the primary goal here is to watch the markets and to enjoy each other's company And I think that the larger goal of the YouTube channel is still to help people understand the true nature of the market, which is inefficient and complex. But how what we're doing here every day fits into all of that, you know, because we only got 90 minutes and I'm not taking a lot of trades and all of these sorts of things, is just kind of, you know, maybe I'm not sure. Okay. Oh, now that's interesting. But I do often wonder sometimes, like, I would like to code more in the morning here. Should I just do that? Because, you know, it kind of does kill the stream. But I don't know, sometimes. Okay. That, I think, fixed it. And it did. It got triggered into long at 06.5, and it would still be in it. And all of the messages are good. Now, I should probably have it like output the time too. Yes, Mr. Seth, coding is very good. It is. I really, I don't know. So, you know, there's one of those things where it's like telling people about things. That's kind of like a hit of dopamine. And so when you tell them and then you don't go out and do it. So I've got all of these threads kind of going in the background that I just really haven't had time to do anything with. And I want to talk about it, but I'm not going to. Yes, we're building a trading robot. So what was going on there is one of the things that I have done, which quite frankly was a lot of work. Like, I would say the coding on it and everything is not necessarily hard, but just getting everything in place to make it work it was actually quite a bit. And it's one of the indicators that I have on my website, speculatorseth.com, and it is the news indicator. So you put this indicator on your chart, and when a major news event is coming up, it will show up on your chart. In fact, I think if we go far enough out here, do you see how there's a line there, ISM Services Index? So it's telling me that there's news. And what it will do is, if it's in a position, it will exit that position before the news, and then it will wait for like 1 or 2 minutes and after the news to try and take a trade. Okay. And what was happening was it was taking it for some reason was taking a position during this, which I don't understand why it would go long, but apparently it thought that it was going to go long. I could look into that a little bit more, but just to get the algorithm going and doing what it's supposed to do today, I had to make sure that we stayed out of the news for 2 minutes, and then we could see if it would have taken a trade in this follow-up action, and it would have, and it would be a mildly decent winner. That it will probably exit just before the ISM services, or ISM Is it services? Yeah, ISM services number that's coming up. Do you have a tutorial on how to build one? Yes. So if you go to my page, there is a playlist for NinjaTrader programming. And there's also a couple of videos in there where I show like different strategies that we know don't work. And yeah, you want a strategy that works, right? But these are really good examples to show you just how to code simple strategies. So yeah, if you go to the page, you can go and find that stuff. So if you were just kind of watching and didn't really see what I was doing there, I have the robot will leave these log messages so that I can see what it is doing. And it was doing this thing where like it would do the same thing over and over and over again. And that was kind of annoying. Well, now you've got this one because it will enter trade long, trade signal, imbalance short, ignored, trigger short. Now, I don't know why it would say entering trade long. That message is probably wrong. It's probably trade signal imbalance long, ignored because of news, but so we got rid of most of the bad log messages, but there is apparently still one to come. I think that what I need to do is I need to change this method. Oh, this is getting super complicated for logging. But what I can do is I can say add log message, and it won't print out the messages until the end of the bar. And that way, because what's happening is all of these are actually happening in the same bar. Right? Those are all in the same bar. That's just how many times it checked it, because it does it on every piece of volume, right? So I think that's what I would have to do, is I would have to aggregate them and say, okay, well, these ones are not, you know, here's everything that happened during that bar, and all of these ones get consolidated into this. But there might be something wrong in here, because this trade signal imbalance short ignored because of news, that can't be right. Maybe not. Imbalance long, imbalance short. I don't, because I don't understand, why would it be, oh, what? Why would it say trigger short, entering trade long? Trigger short, manage order short. It should then come into here and do my enter short. Right there. Oh, that's fucking weird. They were exactly opposite. Then it should say trigger short, entering trade short, signal ignored because of news. That's what should happen. And then we just need to make sure that this doesn't happen every single time. So we changed it so that when it does the same message over and over and over again, it doesn't, like with this time window, you would see that like several times, right? Now we need to fix the issue where it's like 2 messages going back and forth, right? Because we trigger short and then we enter trade. It's actually the same message over and over again. Yeah. So some fanciness that we can add on the logging, but it won't change the way that this strategy works. And then we fixed a bigger issue, which was that we weren't resetting these things, the current P&L, streak, and direction. So basically, if it took a loss of $500, then it would stop trading forever after that. And that's why if we left it on for too long, or we it was just a bad day, we'd come in here and it seems like it's not doing anything. So we fixed that. This is why one of the things that I see people do is they'll develop an algorithm and they'll like way super over optimize it or whatever, right? And then they're like, okay, I think I got this thing that's working. It's profitable. I should go and trade it. And so they immediately start running it on the open market. And no, that's not what you should do. Go and just run it again in sim. Run it live in sim for a long time. Because we've been doing this, been having this one going for a good 3 months now, I think. And I keep finding things and changing stuff, right? Yep, back test, sim test, live test. And don't just sim test it like one day and it did what I expected. No, like have a long period, like a month. Watch it every day for a month. If you go and it's been like a month and you don't want to change anything, then maybe you take it live, right? Now, there is something to this, though. Something else that I noticed here, which was that this bar right here, the bar that moved was the 631 bar, because it's essentially the bar that is at 631 is the bar that starts at 631. So I might want to adjust some of that logic, but it's 7:52. Only got 10 minutes. I guess I'll pull it out. But just leave it on the other screen here. Good stream. Thanks. I really, this thing that I was talking yesterday about how I think that AI could actually just increase demand for labor. But I feel like that my monologue today was a much better approach at explaining that. And kind of gets into the, like, how when you look at a system and the complexity of a system, that it could result in more demand for labor. I would really like to see a study kind of simulating that kind of dynamic. If you're going to risk money, you got to be as close to sure as possible that you're going to win. Yeah. So, I don't know, man. So here's the thing, is that you have to take risk to make risk, right? And some of the people that are going to make the most money from doing this are doing the stupidest, most retarded things, right? And I think that the reason why so many retail traders fail, it's like, well, okay, so if doing stupid and retarded things can actually make you more money in the long run, how come almost all retail traders fail regardless of what they're doing? The main reason why the majority of retail day traders fail is because their holding time is simply too small. You have to have an explicit reason why it's going up. And if you don't have something that's really effective at predicting that, you're going to net lose money in the long run. If I was doing like one of those prop firm accounts, I would be trying to hold it as long as possible. I would be like, I take a relatively small position, but then I try and hold it all day, sort of a thing. Basically something to where your average win and your average loss is a decent amount of the daily loss limit. Like if the daily loss limit is 500, maybe I want my average loser to be 300, right? And my average winner to be 300. And then I just do that. And I set myself up so that every day I'm going to have a trade that either makes 300 or loses 300. And then it's just probabilities. And with the way that the market works, you will be able to pass that about 30% of the time, right? So that's kind of one way to start. And then you can turn into these things where it's like, you know, like buying options, for instance, you know, buy options when I have a reason to think that it's going to like really explode. And then every once in a while you catch a good one and you just make insane amounts of money off of the options, right? And that's where you could, if you have a strategy, it's random, but the right tail is big enough, right? You just do that long enough until you hit the winner. And then stop after that. Yes. If it's Thursday, how do we have a non-farm? Because tomorrow is a federal holiday. So this time around, they pushed it up. So don't come tomorrow. Don't look for my stream tomorrow. Don't come and watch the market. Everything will be closed. You don't want to trade on the 4th. Are you scared of artificial general intelligence? So I think that if we get into a world, so first of all, the risk from artificial intelligence comes before you get to artificial general intelligence, I think. I think there's like, I guess it kind of depends on what your definition is, right? Because there's one definition that's like, it can do things faster than, most tasks faster than a human, right? That's the kind of artificial intelligence that I'm concerned about. Because that's the artificial intelligence where it's like, if it goes haywire or it breaks, it does something bad, like it could cause a lot of havoc, right? And so I think you run into robots doing stupid stuff long before you ever get to this like artificial superintelligence spot, right? The artificial superintelligence spot would kind of be the place at which it's like the labor market breaks down. Like when robots can literally do every task that a human can do, and they do it cheaper than a human, then you're not going to hire any humans anymore. How do you have work at that point? But I think in a situation like that, I do not believe that we go into like a socialist economy, which is what some people seem to think is going to go on, right? I think that it's just a different thing will be valuable and will be the thing that you know. So right now, essentially how you make money, like the thing that gets traded is your time for money, your labor for money. In the new economy, labor won't be worth anything. But that doesn't mean that there won't still be an economy, because like there's still resources, right? You might not have as much resources for certain things as you want. So there's still going to have to be an economy. Okay, so here comes the number. Slightly higher than expected at 50 spot 8 versus 50 spot 6. Prices paid lower than expected, 67 spot 5 versus 68 spot 9. And so that I would judge as a buy. And it's a mild buy, and we have moved up a few ticks. By the way, you can see right here, the robot does get out 1 bar before the news. Is just it's offset by 1. So I think I have to go in. I was just looking through the code. I have to go to, oh, I already closed it. I think I need to go into the news indicator to change that. The firms seem good if you have a strategy that matches their requirements, because you can risk 1.5 for what, a max of 500 for all costs account if it's a X3 leverage. I don't know. Like, it's kind of one of the difficulties there with the prop firms is like you're gonna see these people that like they got lucky essentially. So I think that one thing that happens, I can have a strategy and it wins a lot, but then it takes a big loser. And it might take like a year for it to fall into that, right? So that strategy is in the long run net unprofitable, right? But it's streaky. It's really streaky. And if I get something that's a really good winning streak, I can make a ton of money on the prop firm before that happens, right? So what we would want to do is we would want to find these strategies that are kind of streaky like that, because the prop firm limits our risk, right? That's not going to make you a millionaire or anything like that, but it will impress people on the internet, right? Anyways, I got to get going, guys. I will see you on Monday. I hope I get some time, free time to do some work. Anyways, I will see you guys next week. Stay excellent, team.